Indonesia is one of the largest and most interesting countries in the world. It has thousands of islands, active volcanoes, big cities, deep forests, and a very young population. It is also home to the largest Muslim population on the planet. In this video, we will look at Indonesia in simple English. We will talk about its geography, history, religion, economy, culture, and daily life. The goal is not to praise or attack Indonesia, but to understand how this complex country works and why it matters. Indonesia is located in Southeast Asia, between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. If you look at a map, you will see a long chain of islands stretching between mainland Asia and Australia. The country has more than 17,000 islands, although not all of them are populated. The main islands include Java, Sumatra, Borneo, shared with Malaysia and Brunei, Sulawesi, and Papua. The capital, Jakarta, is on the island of Java, which is one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Because it is an archipelago, Indonesia controls important sea routes that connect East Asia, South Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. Many ships carrying oil, goods, and raw materials pass through Indonesian waters. This location is a major strategic advantage, but it also brings security and environmental challenges. For many centuries, the islands that are now Indonesia were home to different kingdoms and trading cities. They traded spices, rice, and other goods with India, China, and the Arab world. Famous spices like cloves and nutmeg grew mainly in this region, which made it very valuable. From the 16th century onward, European powers arrived, first the Portuguese and later the Dutch. The Dutch slowly built a colony called the Dutch East Indies. They controlled trade, taxed local populations, and used the islands to produce valuable export crops. Local resistance and uprisings happened many times, but the colonial system stayed in place for centuries. In the 20th century, especially after World War I and during World War II, the desire for independence grew stronger. Japan briefly occupied the islands during World War II. After the war, Indonesian leaders declared independence in 1945. A conflict with the returning Dutch followed, but finally, Indonesia became a recognized independent country. Since independence, Indonesia has gone through different political phases, including strong centralized rule, periods of authoritarian leadership, and later, more democratic reforms. Today it is a republic with regular elections and a complex multi-party system. Indonesia is a republic with a president, a parliament, and a judicial system. The president is both head of state and head of government and is elected for a fixed term by the people. The parliament makes national laws and oversees the government. Indonesia is also highly decentralized. It has many provinces and local governments that manage education, health, and other services in their regions. This decentralization is meant to give more voice to local communities, especially in such a geographically spread out country. Politically, Indonesia has many parties. Coalitions are common, and politics often involves negotiation and compromise among different interests. Business groups, religious organizations, regional leaders, and the military. Challenges such as corruption, bureaucratic inefficiency, and regional tensions still exist, but democratic institutions have become stronger compared to the past. Indonesia has more than 270 million people, making it one of the most populous countries in the world. The population is young, with many children and young adults. Ethnically, it is very diverse. There are Javanese, Sundanese, Balinese, Acehnese, Papuans, and many other groups. The national motto is Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which means unity in diversity. This reflects the idea that many different cultures and traditions exist under one national identity. The official language is Indonesian, also called Bahasa Indonesia. It is based on a Malay trade language and is used in schools, government, and media. However, many people also speak local languages at home and in their communities. In terms of religion, Indonesia is officially a secular state with recognition of several religions. The majority of the population is Muslim, making Indonesia the country with the largest Muslim population in the world. There are also Christians, Hindus, Buddhists, and followers of local traditional beliefs. On the island of Bali, for example, Hinduism is the main religion, and ceremonies and offerings are part of daily life. Religion is visible in public life, in holidays, clothing, and social norms, but the degree of religiosity can vary widely between regions and individuals. Indonesia's economy is a mix of agriculture, industry, and services. For a long time, agriculture was the main sector, with rice, palm oil, rubber, cocoa, and coffee playing major roles. Even today, many Indonesians live in rural areas and work in farming or fishing. The country is also rich in natural resources like oil, gas, coal, minerals, and timber. These resources bring income, but they also raise questions about environmental damage and how fairly the money is shared. Industry includes manufacturing of textiles, food products, electronics, and automobiles. Cities like Jakarta, Surabaya, and Bandung are important industrial and commercial centers. The service sector has grown steadily. It includes trade, transport, tourism, finance, and digital services. Places like Bali attract millions of tourists each year with beaches, temples, and cultural events. At the same time, Indonesia is building its digital economy, with local startups and a growing online marketplace. Economic growth in the past decades has been relatively strong, but inequality remains a serious issue. Some people enjoy a middle-class lifestyle with malls, smartphones, and cars, while others struggle with low incomes and limited access to healthcare and education. Daily life in Indonesia looks very different in Jakarta compared to a small village on a distant island. In big cities, people often live in crowded neighborhoods or apartment buildings. Traffic jams are common, and many people rely on motorbikes to move quickly through the streets. Shopping malls, street food stalls, and small shops are part of the urban landscape. In rural areas, life is more connected to nature and the seasons. Farmers grow rice in terraced fields, and families may keep chickens, goats, or cows. Community life is often strong, with neighbors helping each other during weddings, funerals, and village cleanup days. Family ties are important. It is common for several generations to live close to each other, and decisions are often made with the family in mind. Food is a central part of social life. Dishes like nasi goreng, satay, rendang, and many kinds of sambal show the richness of Indonesian cuisine. Music, dance, and traditional arts are also important. Different regions have their own styles, instruments, and ceremonies, from gamelan orchestras in Java and Bali to unique local dances in other islands. Indonesia faces serious environmental and social challenges. Because it sits on the so-called Ring of Fire, the country is vulnerable to earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. These natural disasters can cause great damage and loss of life. Deforestation and forest fires are also major problems. Rainforests are cut down for timber or to make room for palm oil plantations. This affects biodiversity, contributes to climate change, and creates heavy smoke that can reach other countries. Socially, inequality between rich and poor, and between urban and rural areas, remains high. access to high-quality education and healthcare is not the same everywhere. Some regions feel left behind and demand more attention and investment from the central government. Indonesia is a member of the G20 and a key country in Southeast Asia. It plays an important role in regional organizations and tries to balance relations with major powers like the United States and China. Its large population, growing economy, and strategic location give it potential to become even more influential in the future. At the same time, the path forward will depend on how Indonesia deals with corruption, environmental protection, infrastructure, education, and job creation for its young population. If it can improve governance and invest in human capital, it may turn its diversity and resources into long-term strength. If problems are not addressed, social tensions and environmental damage could limit progress. In the end, the story of Indonesia is still being written every day. In the busy streets of Jakarta, in quiet villages on distant islands, in the prayers of its people, and in the choices its leaders make about the country's future.